Hope everyone's had a productive day at work, at school, at play, whatever the case may be, right? I just hope everybody had a productive day and got outside and enjoyed a little sunshine. If anybody didn't catch the topic of this conversation tonight, earlier today, I was doing my thing, and I shared. I let a few of you guys ride along with me, man. And we had a real good conversation, and that just got my brain sparked, and it led me to come home. When I was in the truck, I was freestyling. Is what we would call it, but because I didn't have anything prepared, obviously, I was just speaking from the right then, or what I'm saying, real time. So tonight I have a little something that I want to share with my friends and family and my people that like to watch this channel. This topic is called I Do Have Notes Prepared, guys. So when I'm looking off to the side, this is what I'm looking at. It's the notes I have prepared and everything, or the talking point. Okay. The title to this is called The Architecture of Potential. Right? The Architecture of Potential. And this is navigating the space between what can be and what likely will be. Right? We live in that space where we limit our potential based on the improper usage of possibility versus probability. That's where I'm going with that, okay? So, we have what I've created, and it's the binary and the spectrum. Everybody knows binary is ones and zeros, right? And the spectrum is something that is broad, right? A broad spectrum, right? So we call this the binary and the spectrum, right? And we're gonna give you some of the insight to this. Possibility is an open door. Probability is the measurement of the wind blowing through it, right? All right, so we understand possibilities versus probabilities, and this is how we limit a lot of our lives because we use those terms as it pertains to our potential and what we are the goals we set, and we have to understand. Hello, Guadalupe. We have to understand that where there's probability, there's likely possibility. So let's continue on with the prepared, okay? So possibility, as if we're speaking on ones or zero, okay? One or zero. If it doesn't break the laws of physics, it is a one. Okay, we're talking about possibility as one or a zero, right? Possibility. If it doesn't break the laws of physics, the possibility is one. Probability as 0.1 to 99.9. This is why we mistake unlikely for impossible. You see where that goes, guys? Impossible is mathematically improbable. That's where we separate what is possible and probable, okay? So probability, we look at probability, a probability as 0.1, right? We all know math, we all know the wholes, we all know hundreds, we all know tenths, we know no singles. So 0.1 to 99.9, that's your probability rate. It's a large spectrum, okay? And that's why we mistake unlikely for impossible. You know what I mean? All right. Now we move on, right? The mathematician's lens. right? This is the logic behind things, okay? Probability theory and the trivium. Have you guys heard of the trivium? Right? And this is how we define this. We have data, real data versus hope. Okay? Using logic of the trivium to filter raw information. Like what I'm telling you guys, use that trivium, right? The logic. That's the first day. Like, if it's, is it logical? You know what I mean? Is it resonating? Okay? How a possibility becomes a probability through repeated action, right? Remember how we could say that is it wasn't possible for you to bench press 200 pounds until after repeated action, which was a probability. Now you're able to achieve that. This is how you use real life scenarios to the instances and things I'm speaking on with you guys today, with my fam today, right? All right. And then you have the Black Swan event, right? How high impact, low probability events. The possibilities we ignore are actually what change our history, right? The possibilities we ignore because we're looking at it as a fraction as it's improbable. You know, it's a lot of things you can do, but we ignore it due to the misunderstanding of possibility versus probability. Stay with me, y'all. Right. And this, yeah, I am. I am reading. I'm not reading the script, buddy. I'm reading. If you just look at my past stuff, I freestyle things, but I'm not going to entertain you. This is prepared. What is a script? Something someone prepared, right? So let's stick to the script, okay? All right. Human will and the collapse of potential. You have a choice as a catalyst, just like you have a choice, on how you comment, and that's a catalyst of what you're doing. You have a choice, if that was something based, the choice on your comment, if that was your comment on something that I am not speaking on, so therefore I won't answer those things. You see what I'm saying? So we'll continue on. How human intent can take 1% probability and will it into 100% reality. Right? They could take one tiny granule of hope or probability and then turn that into a reality based on what. Okay, let me hold up. Let me entertain this for just 1 minute, guys, because you see the comment. You look at me and you tell me what's a probability. You tell me, you asking a question, you tell me, you're asking a question as if you know the answer. So you tell me, you're asking the same question. Well, we continue on. I see we got trouble, yeah. It's good. Thank you for your time and, you know what I'm saying, you watching, you know what I mean, straight up. All right, as I continue on, right, you can turn 1% of a probability into, you can will that 1% into 100% reality. So therefore, what seems impossible is only improbable. Okay? Only how you perceive how you're trying to achieve that probability, right? All right. And here's the trap of our human minds. This is the trap of rationalization. You know, when you rationalize something, you see everybody got those things. Rationalization, right? When we use the math to talk ourselves out of our soul's purpose. When you are the likelihood, and we use all types of words, right? I've done it. We're all victim of that. right? I'm sure our friend Owen does stuff 10, he talked himself out of things. You know what I mean? I'm sure he has. He has to talk himself out of a lot of stuff, I'm sure. And as we continue on, but, or however, y'all, we have to be living in the 1%. We hear things like that, living in the 1%. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Let's take a study of historical figures who ignored the probabilities to achieve possibilities, right? Let's look at people that never, that gave up on themselves, said there's no chance I can achieve this because it's impossible. But there's always, where there's a will, there's a way, guys. Let me continue on, and that's the truth, man. You know what I mean? And here's another thing, y'all: conflict and convergence. The conflict and the convergence. Using these definitions resolve human misunderstanding. Right? Let's talk about it. The root of argument. Right? There's a root to argument. The root of argument. Often one person is talking about possibility. Right? That's the dreamer. That's the dreamer. The person is talking about possibility, the dreamer, while the other is talking about probability. That's the realist. I'm gonna be rich, right? I ain't dreaming about it. I mean, is it? No, it's not possible. Let's see what I'm saying. How we shut your will down. You see how you shut your will down by not understanding how to apply two simple words. See how it works, right? But however, there is a middle ground, respect how to respect the math without killing the vision. Okay? Utilizing these distinctions to create a common language for rationalization. Like, we all have to have a common language, because those possibility and probability, we all fall under that science. There's no getting away from it. There's no getting away from it, y'all. You know what I mean? All right, so yes, I have something prepared, guys, and this is what we call divine preparation, because this came from my head, real time, put together. You know what I mean? So, right. So recalculate your path. I want all the viewers, all the family, I want you to identify one possibility in your life that you labeled improbable, and determine one action to increase its probability. One action in your life. One possibility that you've mislabeled. Right? And we all can think of several. Right? Because we ain't the victim of your odds. We are the architects of the outcome, of the total outcome. You determine that. Determine on how you view what's possible versus what's probable, guys. Y'all have to understand this. Take notes. Do what you gotta do, because these things will help you later on where you are trying to do the math, as I say, or do the knowledge of something, and you trying to figure out what's possible and what's probable. Right? It's a lot of people that talk you out your dang situation. So, we'll keep going on. With other things, you know what I mean? We often let the low probability of a dream trick us into thinking the dream isn't possible. If there is a 0.00000, if there's a 0.00001% chance the door is open for you to achieve that. That's how probability works. If there's a mathematical chance, you know what I mean? Which there always is. Just like there's nothing really 100%, but that's a whole nother topic, right? That's why we say from 1 to 99%, right? If there's always going to be a mathematical chance based off 1%, there's a granular hope for everyone, right? That's why we shouldn't shut the door on your dreams because, oh, this is not possible. You come from an impoverished, oh, this, that. No, it is probable, because you're the architect of your reality and your outcome due to the law of possibility versus probability, guys. Stay with me. All right? Probability is the world's way of trying to predict the future based on the past. That's the world's way. That is probability, right? How do you think they can use these computers and crunch the numbers to say that and predict things not based on possibility, it's based on probability. If something happened before, the likelihood of it happening again, there is a mathematical equation for that, right? That we have to understand that. All right. But we also have a thing called the human factor, guys. There's a thing called the human factor, right? Science can tell us the odds of a coin flip, right? Science will break it down, just like Las Vegas, when they do the odds on your games, right? How do they do that? How do they know who's going to win, right? That's what I'm speaking to at this moment. Science can tell you or tell us the odds of a coin flip, but it can't always calculate the odds of human will, right? You see the games where people beat Vegas because they cannot always calculate the human element. The baddest supercomputer can calculate that 0.0000000001% chance of that human element. It just isn't going to happen because we are things that are unpredictable in nature. We do things that are predictable, and that's how they get the probability. Okay? Now, if you look at it like this, P is greater than 0, right? Probability is greater than no possibility. That's what that means. That means the universe is giving you the permission. The rest is just effort, right? The rest is just effort. If there is a will, there's a way. If there's a probability, there's a possibility, and the rest is on you. It don't matter what you're trying to accomplish. You want to accomplish big things, right? Use this math right here. Go back and listen to this this tape right here, and you'll start to understand. And when you start looking in your own books, and you start reading and doing the back door, because everything got to be verified. And then once you get your own understanding of possibility versus probability, right? Okay. All right. But there's a trap to the rationalization. This connects us on how we talk ourselves out of greatness, right? This is how we talk ourselves out of greatness. People, is it possible for you to get up here and go live, guys? Or is it probable for you to do it? Right? Didn't we just discuss this is how we talk ourselves out of greatness, not understanding that really, really, really simple concept of probability versus possibility, guys. This is how we talk. We all do it. That's where you get the woulda, shoulda, couldas, right? We use probability, right? We use probability, and that's the realest excuse. That's the realest excuse, and that's what I'm trying to separate for us, humanity. I'm trying to separate it, and you do your own back work on it to do your own, and then it'll make sense, right? To kill the possibility. We use probability to kill a possibility. That's the soul's vision, y'all. You know what I mean? So we have to learn to use the right words for the right results. And if you're not using the right words with people, you won't get the things that you desiring, right? It all makes sense. What up, man? How you doing, man? Thank you. You need some advice? Okay. What you got, man? What you got? But we're gonna continue on while my fam here is I don't know. I don't know the advice, so I'm not gonna commit to if I can help you or not. Uh we have to learn the right words to use, you know. You present the problem or the question, and if I have an answer for it, I'll do the best I can. But if I don't, I'll point you to the right direction, the best I can. That's all I can say there. Okay. All right. Learn how to use the right words. Right. It's about a girl. Oh man. I don't want to get into those things, but you probably need to talk to your big brother or someone like that. Ah man, yeah, okay. Well, your grandma tells you some right word. Here we go. Realizing that improbable is not impossible. Right? We have to realize that we have to all take that into account, because we use those things out of context all the time, and that's me included. You know what I mean? We all get discouraged and we say, "Oh, but nobody says it's improbable unless they're kind of, astute. They just say it's impossible." We heard that. It's impossible. No, no, no. There's a mathematical chance, even if it's 0.000000001. There's still an open door for it to be a possibility. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to convey to my family, to all you youngsters, all us adults. That's all I'm trying to convey to you guys, right? Where there is a probability mathematically, there is a possibility will-wise, right? But the math can't do the work for you. If you know that the door is open, even if it's 0.0000001, there's still a chance. You know what I mean? There's still a chance for that situation to happen. It's just you got to do the rest for your will, from your will, right? So we understand that you can't ignore math, right? You can't ignore math. That's just one of those things that's hard to ignore, especially when it's in front of you and you are, you are learned to whatever math in front of you. I put 5 plus 5 in front of you. It's like, it's hard for me to manipulate someone that knows what 5 plus 5 is. So, you can't ignore math. That's the point I'm saying. We can't ignore math when it's on the table and the numbers are adding up, okay? But what we do is we use math to build a bridge to possibility. That's what we're talking about. Didn't I say 0.0? That's math. So what you do is you build on that to build a bridge to your possibility. Therefore, the door isn't really shut. There's always a mathematical way because there's really not a lot of things that's 0% chance. Let's just be honest. Okay? So when that 0.0000001, that seems like there's not a chance, but that gives you a whole lot of chance versus a flat 0. Right? So that goes back to where there's a will, there's a way. And what that means, as long as you are alive, there's a chance. Right? There's a probability. When you don't have no more will, there's no more way. No, it's impossible at that point. Right? So I just want everybody, to do their work on those two words and learn that the door isn't shut for your dreams and the possibilities in store for you. You know what I mean? It's just we shut them by misappropriating the two terms or the two words possibility versus probability. Okay? Y'all do your math on that, man, and let me know. Big Onk is here to help you guys. And guess what? I want you guys to help me too. You know what I mean? Because we're all in this together, man. Each one teach one, y'all. Until next time, peace.